What's up, creepers and geekers? Chris, the Atari Creep. How's everyone doing today? Welcome back to Milieu Macabre as we continue building on this sexy beast right here. Believe it or not, lots has changed since the last video, since part 3 in 3D. Can you guess what those changes are? No, probably not, because this camera sucks. To start off with, I gave it a base coat, maybe 2 or 3 coats of this natural buff acrylic paint. It's kind of a pinkish peach color. It's very subtle, so I hope it's coming through on the camera, but that's its base coat. You'll see what we're going to be doing here. And after that, of course, I wanted to seal it up with this. This is varnish that's made for acrylics I keep around. I have a matte and I have a high gloss one. Especially when you're painting on plastics, acrylic tends to not want to hang on to it. So if you seal it with something like this, you generally have a better time with it hanging out and not leaving the party too soon. However, with these vinyl kits, they're actually very forgiving. For some reason, vinyl tends to take these acrylics, these kind anyway, fairly well. But I still wanted to protect it because it's going to be handled a lot as I do the next processes, and it's just what I end up doing. So it's got a nice texture to it now. It's got some color on it, and believe it or not, and I know this isn't going to pick up, but the brush I used to put on the clear might have still had a little hint of like a green or a blue in it. So it kind of rubbed off on some of these high spots in the beginning of me clearing it over. You can see it right there. I think that's a benefit. That's going to give it more of an organic look, just little speckles of color all over the place. And you'll see that we will do a lot more of that here in the very near future. Other changes, I adjusted the fingers a little more. I bent these in just a little bit more, especially here and here. These fingers I raised up a little bit right here, and I gave the fingertips more of a dramatic curve to them. So I am really happy with that. I don't want it closed up, like I said in the last video. A lot of people like to close it up, but I'm not doing that, and it's not going to be on a face or anything. And lastly, I gave the tail more of a curve, and that I know is not coming across on video. I'm sure if you had a side-by-side image, it would be a lot more noticeable. But I actually curved more in here, and I tightened this up a little bit. So a little here, tighten this up. And the whole reason for that is chances are I'm going to display it standing like this. And I wanted the main body part of it a little bit lower to deal with center of gravities and all kinds of stuff like that. So, now that we got all that out of the way. So now the question as to where do we go from here? He's got his base coat. He's got his final form. Don't make me assume my final form!
Don't make me assume my ultimate form! I will fuck you up!
Where do we go from here? And you know what? In all honesty, and I have to get this out of the way, I am not a huge fan of the Alien series. I do love the movies, the first 2 anyway. But I want to take this particular model to a whole nother level. I'm not going to do anything super different than I've done in the past, but I'm going to take my time with this one. I'm going to be doing a series of washes throughout that. I mean, this thing has the distinct pleasure of having more nooks and crannies within its sculpt than a lot of other models or anything else I've ever put together, for the most part. I mean, yeah, I do a lot of corpsing on stuff, my Necronoma console and stuff like that. Great examples of having great texture to do washes and get different colors into the nooks and crannies of things. But this is a whole nother level of that. I mean, even in these spots here that are somewhat smooth, there's skin texture. And even though this is a recast of an old model, the detail is really great. So I am going to do what they call sneaking up on with the colors. A lot of people would paint as a base color, usually a very light brown. Then they would get something like a burnt umber, which I am going to use, and they would get probably oils, and they would dab it all over the place and then wipe off as much as they can. And the whole idea is to make it dirty and clean it up the best you can, but that will still not be good enough, and that'll be perfect. If any of that just made sense. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to use traditional old school, 100% real washes. And what I mean by that is I'm going to take a little bit of paint. I'm going to put a whole bunch of water in it. Maybe even some Windex to thin out the paint a little. And the first like 4 or 5 passes, you're not really going to see nothing. But as you keep going and you keep looking at it, and you step back, and with each pass, you start seeing this thing transform into something. And I'm going to use browns, and I'm going to use greens. And I have this sickly brownie mustard color that I want to touch on certain spots. This thing, depending on which movie it is, it has a different kind of tone to it. I want to do kind of a hybrid of all of it. I want this thing to thoroughly look disgusting. I want people to walk in here, see it on display, and genuinely feel uncomfortable looking at it. And of course, when we get to the what they call it in the movie, the opositor or something like that, that thing. You know what I'm talking about. The vajayjay. I'm definitely going to do some special stuff in there. And I got some other techniques I'm going to do for veins here. Again, none of this is new stuff. None of it's new to me. This is going to take a long time to get right. And this is one of those ones I really just want to get right for a number of reasons. One, I think the sculpt itself deserves that. Two, it's one of the greatest monsters in movie history. I love movie monsters above all else. And I can't think of any movie monster that's more terrifying than a xenomorph and the facehuggers. And I want to do right by this one. Plus, it was a gift from a friend of mine. I know he kept saying that he was just like, he got it. He doesn't want to fucking have it in his house because of its size, and he didn't think he would ever put it together. But for me, it takes a lot to take a kit that you were going to build, that you were excited about at one time. Because anytime you buy a model, it's because you're excited. You want this thing from another universe in your world, something that's not tangible in reality. And you want to make it a reality within your personal life. And you get excited. And you're like, yep, I'm going to build that. And you order it, and it takes 6 weeks to get to you from Thailand. Then it sits in a box. And even though he still didn't have the desire to build it, I know that excitement was there. So I think it deserves that touch of respect in that also. So I am going to start playing around with some colors. Now, whether or not I paint on camera or I don't, I toyed with the idea of actually doing some of it live on Facebook. And if you're interested in that, let me know. But I'm just going to get some colors, some water, some Windex, a lot more coffee. And I'm just going to stare at it, and I'm going to think about it. I'm going to look at pictures. I might even watch the movie. And we'll see where we go from there. I know this isn't the most exciting update, me just talking about respect to a plastic monster. But this is probably going to be one of the bigger things I've ever done, model kit-wise. And I'm not talking about scale of size. I'm talking about scale of epicness. And yeah, I really think this deserves the time, the detail, let's not just do this quick and get it on camera so everyone can fucking praise me. It's gonna take me time. I'm gonna be doing like teeny little things. There's like a fold right here I have plans to do little weird things with, and I'm going big on this one. Anything worth doing is worth overdoing. So let me sit and look at it, and we'll figure all that out. So here's a little update on some progress that you saw me in the overlay there. Starting, to give you an idea of contrast, here's the untouched area, and here's the touched area. This is about 2 hours worth of work. I started with a small brush, getting into the little nooks and crannies and make sure they were nice and dark, and I still have a few more here to touch up. And then once I had those, I hit the entire thing with a larger brush and then kept patting it away until I kept getting the color I desired. There's a few spots I need to touch up, like in here. But overall, it's coming along exactly as envisioned, and I think it's starting to look gnarly. The bottom needs to be darkened a little more. I'm not going to touch that area right there because I want that to be pinks, reds, purples. The fingers, for some reason, aren't taking the color as well, but the important parts are. So I'm going to continue working down the tail the same method. I'm going to get into the crevices first, and then I'm going to do a whole wash, and then after that, also what I've been doing is going back into the crevices where I feel it needs it more, and just letting it pool up a little bit, and then taking it out with a Q-tip. Just so it's got that nice contrast. And of course, because I'm using water, there are drips here and there, and there are spots I need to clean, like that. But a little bit of water and some Q-tip, that'll disappear real quick, and then I'll just hit it with another wash. So let me finish the tail. I know this video has been more babble than process, but I felt it was all important to get out of the way, because there's more of this model than just putting them all together. It means a lot to me. Yeah, so let me finish this up, and then we'll see where we go from there. All right, guys, so I was able to completely coat it with, a couple of washes of brown. You'll notice it's a little darker here than it is down here, and I do still have to blend that transition. My idea is it's going to get lighter as the tail gets smaller, for my own reasons, I do need to lighten this up a little bit. This got a little out of control. But you know what? I'm really happy with the progress so far. I know it's not showing through in the camera as well, but I can kind of see how well it looks. There's a couple spots I still need to touch up, like right here. And there's a spot over here that I need to touch up. But that's the beginning of it, guys. Next time, I promise I'll have some actual footage of me doing stuff. Maybe the opositor underneath there. I'll film extensively as far as how I go about doing it in a time-lapse kind of deal. And yeah, that's really it. I'm really excited. This isn't, again, the final look. I got other colors I want to put on there and a couple of little embellishments that I'm really excited for. And that's really it, guys. So, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching. Again, this video after watching the footage doesn't seem necessary, but fuck it. I did it. I'm going to put it up anyway. And if you don't like it, well, just wait for the next one. The next one will have a lot more information. So, guys, again, thanks as always so much for watching. Go ahead and leave feedback. Thumbs up, thumbs down. All feedback's positive to the creep. And until next time, hope you're doing well. Take care. Bye-bye.